Do you sense any trouble in paradise here?
I absolutely do, if only because we are hearing mixed messages out of this administration. You know, it wasn't long ago that we were critiquing Joe Biden's administration for mixed messages, and here's Donald Trump. You've got a commerce secretary saying absolutely no recession, the president saying, he can't say no to that idea. You've got Elon Musk talking about the need to cut entitlements, and by the way, he's mathematically correct on that, and yet you've got a president who not only has taken that off the table, but said, I want to give more tax cuts. And so, the messaging from this administration, and we talk about Donald Trump as this great communicator, and he is in some ways, but the mixed messages are doing a huge and enormous harm to them politically and to the markets and the economy.
What are your thoughts on this? Rick, the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is out talking growth. We're not going to have a recession. Donald Trump won't rule one out. Elon Musk just talked about keeping America from going bankrupt. Which one is it?
Well, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Believe me.
I don't know.
But is Elon Musk a Democrat? I mean, who has done more damage to the Trump administration since the inaugural than Elon Musk? Wow. I mean, he has inflamed Republican constituencies all over the country over his cuts in their pet projects. Mm-hmm. He's alienated Republicans on the Hill against the administration, who are frustrated that they have no say. He's single-handedly disrupted the cabinet of the presidents, where they have shouting matches at the first cabinet meeting. I mean, and I actually like the fact that he's trying to cut the growth of federal government. I think that strategy is great. But all of the other things just seem to be undermining the current administration. Not that they are all speaking with a unified voice. They're not. Right. But he certainly stands out as the sort of grinder-in-chief of this administration. If anyone is pointing to a recession, it's Elon Musk.
Well, and then you have his own personal businesses that he's associated with. Tesla stock down more than 15% today, now at the lowest since October. You had a Starship blow up in the airspace last week. You had a cyber attack, at least according to Elon Musk, of X today. Larry Kudlow asked him, Rick, how hard it is to run his businesses while doing this DOGE work. He says he's doing it with great difficulty. At some point, does this become unsustainable when we're talking about key man risk in so many different areas, including perhaps in the Department of Government Efficiency?
Yeah. It's a really good question. I think that the fact that Larry Kudlow brought it up in the interview, kudos to him, because it's like what every investor in Tesla and Starlink and SpaceX would be asking, right? What are you doing in X? What are you doing to make our companies and our investments secure at a time when the markets overall are really pressured? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a legitimate question. I mean, look, it's not outside the strategy to have starships blowing up. That's how they learn what they're doing. Test them. But the reality is that all of those businesses are stressed right now, not least of which because of the macro environment that has been created by the Trump administration being all over the map on things like tariffs and this whole issue of growth that you talk about. Where's the evidence? I mean, we're seeing job loss, immigration by deporting all these folks. You're taking a cap on growth. And obviously the trade policy is also exacerbating that. So I mean, it's very unnerving for Republicans all over town to see this current outcome.
What's happening to Tesla's brand right now, Jeanne? What do you make of this? The stock is down over 50% from its recent high following the election of Donald Trump, down by more than half. We saw protests over the weekend at some Tesla dealerships, if I can call them that. You've got celebrities posting on their getting rid of Tesla cars. How much of this concern about sales has to do with politics?
It looks like much of it. And, the reality is that in these 6 weeks, we have learned that while Elon Musk is a brilliant businessman and he is really, really good at making money, his political acumen is probably not all that it's cracked up to be. And so, Donald Trump, of course, needed him to help him fund his campaign and to reach a large audience, and he has done that. But putting him in charge and up front in terms of these DOGE cuts has been something of a disaster. And I think, you know, one of the visions that will go down after all of this and will stay with us is the vision of him holding up that chainsaw. And even Donald Trump is saying, no more chainsaws. We're not going to do that anymore. So it is bad politics. And that's what Rick was just talking about. It's bad politics for the Republicans. It's bad politics for Donald Trump. And Steve Bannon, of all people, has been screaming this from the rafters, and he's right. Even if you don't like Steve Bannon, his political sort of sense is accurate on this one.